Do I think that Filecoin has a bright future? I do think so. And even though nothing I say is financial advice, $50 during this bull run, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever when it comes to FIL, which is Filecoin's utility token. Now, the reason for that is because even though the price isn't doing the best as of right now, there's a really big pullback, and the crypto space overall isn't necessarily doing the best either. But even besides that, I believe that Filecoin is very fantastic in a sense that Filecoin is a peer-to-peer network that stores files. Now, to simple things down and to just make it more clear, basically, the way I take a look at it is that Filecoin is focused on decentralizing data storage. Again, it's basically focused on the data storage market. Now, let's break this down first of all, because oftentimes people view the data storage market as something that's a little bit boring, not that exciting, not that cool, quote unquote. And I could get where they're coming from because, of course, if they believe in blockchain gaming, NFTs, DeFi, let's say AI, this may seem a little bit boring. But in my opinion, the data storage market does have a bright future nonetheless because even according to Fortune Business Insights, the global data storage market size is predicted to reach nearly $800 billion by 2030. I mean, let's just let that sink in. That's bigger than some countries' GDP, and not to mention, I think it really does indicate that, hey, this market could maybe even be bigger than, let's say, something like NFTs, DeFi, or even blockchain gaming. And let me explain why. Because even though those markets have a lot of hype, we have to take into consideration that according to Grandview Research, both the NFT and DeFi market, each individually is expected to be worth over $200 billion by 2030. So again, that's way less than what the data storage market at least is predicted to be worth in the very near future. Not to mention, we take a look at, yet again, according to Grandview Research, they predict that by 2030, the blockchain gaming market is expected to reach over $300 billion. So again, if you take that into consideration, should the data storage market actually have more hype than something like blockchain gaming, DeFi, and NFTs? I think probably not, because of course those markets are more interesting and more cool, a lot of people would argue. However, at the same time, should this actually have more attention? Because of course we take a look at the pure numbers. I would say yes, it should have more attention, but I think in terms of cool factor, of course, those markets are viewed as in a higher regard currently. So again, I actually think that the data storage market is very underrated. Not many people really believe in this, and that's actually what I like, because I like entering into markets where the hype really hasn't kicked in a massive way yet. Now, of course, Filecoin isn't necessarily a small project by any means, but when you consider, again, what market it's focused on, I still think it has quite a ways to go. And also, let's take this into consideration. What makes decentralizing data storage that amazing? That is the fact that if we take a look at, for instance, a lot of data storage nowadays, it's highly centralized. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that because it's working and it's going to continue to work moving forward. However, of course, we can improve things. First of all, centralized data storage is, in some cases, controlled by a single entity. Now, decentralization basically removes that. Not to mention, there's no longer going to be these single points of failures, like in which we've seen in some cases be the case pretty much in centralized data storage. I'm not saying in every case, but I'm saying in some cases. Not to mention, the more decentralized something is, just logically speaking, I would assume, it's going to be much more difficult for potential hacks or, let's say, breaches. Now, the reason for that is because, let's say, for instance, I'm going to put an analogy here. Let's say I'm trying to hide my treasure, and I hide my treasure in only one location as opposed to 100 different locations. Imagine if I only hid it in one location, if it gets breached, then of course that's not going to be good news. However, on the flip side, if let's say I hide it again in 100 different locations, even if one gets breached, it's like, okay, sure, there's still a bunch left. Let's say even 10. That's not even a big impact, right, in the grand scheme of things. So again, that's the way to take a look at it. Decentralization, I think, just has more benefits as opposed to centralized data storage, at least currently, again, when it comes to the world of data storage. I'm not necessarily saying that implementation for decentralized data storage is going to happen in a massive scale in the next 6 to 9 months. I'm not saying that, but at least the potential of something like that, and when I take into consideration its benefits, I think it could be such a big narrative for this born, because oftentimes people care about the narrative. They care about the story. They care about what something could be. And again, when I take a look at something like Filecoin, it may not gain mass scale adoption in the very near future, but you know what? It's focused on a market that could very well play into the narrative as to what people are looking for this time around. especially during a fully fledged bull run, because of course people usually move in trends. They like the next interesting market, and this one really hasn't taken off yet. So again, this could maybe be something that people pay attention to, especially once the market picks up again. However, even besides that, we have to take into consideration how Filecoin really doesn't have that many dynamic competitors. What do I mean by that? We take a look at, for instance, Filecoin is often regarded as the #1 project as of right now when it comes to these data storage projects. But really, if we take a look at the other options, they're Jasmy, right? Jasmy is something that's very popular. Arguably, it's #2 as of right now. We take a look at other projects like Arweave, Filecoin, Storage. Now, Storage is spelled Storj, like STOR, and then with the letter J. Some people call it Storage, some people call it Storj, tomato, whatever the case may be. But again, if we take a look at that, many people can't even name 10 competitors when it comes to this space. That is how hypothetically early I think I am when it comes to this space, because again, if a market is actually very revolutionary, and again, it's predicted to be worth pretty much nearly $800 billion by 2030, and then there's not even 10 dynamic or famous competitors, I mean, isn't this a no-brainer, at least for me? I can't speak on anyone's behalf. That's why when I take a look at Filecoin's utility token called FIL, again, it would make no sense for me to give up on it. I'm still dollar cost averaging. And keep in mind, if FIL were to go to the price of $50, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $32.5 billion, which I don't think is too bad, by the way. That's around a 17x from here, by the way. But the reason why I don't think it's so bad is because back in 2021, we've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap. We've seen Shiba Inu reach around $40 billion that year as well. And that's years ago. Keep in mind, in the peak of the 2021 bull run, there was roughly around 300 million crypto owners. Now, according to Crypto.com research, we have over 600 million. So that's practically double. Not to mention as well, we take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption. I think this one could be a lot more special. Now, it's going to take time though, because of course the market isn't looking the best, but I'm still optimistic about the future of this space. Even if we take a look at Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, even he predicts that, based on a video that was a part of back in November of 2024, so last year, he did say that 1 to 2 years from then, he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. Now, of course, Charles is talking about Bitcoin, not altcoins in this case. However, usually Bitcoin does do that well. I'm hypothetically assuming that pretty good altcoins are going to go along with the ride. And the way to take a look at it is that I just don't see why near the end of this year it could be a bad time. Now, again, only time will tell, but I could hypothetically see it as being very amazing, which is why I'm staying patient. Anytime an income I'm acquiring, I'm holding, I'm just waiting. And again, when it comes to FIL at the price of $50, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I think Filecoin could very well have better days ahead, and I think its future is still very bright. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.